Champions League quarterfinals is here. If you guys saw in my shorts, I made a prediction in reference to all the games, and the games are here. Bayern Munich versus Real Madrid, Sporting Lisbon versus Arsenal. I will not be talking about the Sporting Lisbon versus Arsenal game. I did not watch that game. I'm so happy. I thank God I didn't watch that game. Even Arsenal fans, I'm sure you wish you didn't watch that game. Today we'll be talking about Bayern Munich and a huge statement they made, not just to Real Madrid, but to the whole of Europe. Before we move any further, if you guys are new members of the channel and you like what you're seeing, hit the like button, comment any feedback you have for the channel, and hit the subscribe button. It's free. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And those of you who are returning members, continue to get involved down in the comment section. Welcome back to another video. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, as I said, and I can't do it without every single one of y'all's help. So if you enjoy what you're seeing, make sure you click the button down below. Let's get back into it. So, of course, in that shorts video, I'm not going to spoil it, but I obviously predicted a certain team to win the Sporting Lisbon Arsenal game, and I predicted a certain team to win the Real Madrid Bayern Munich game. Some people might say it was a jinx. Some people might say it was a jinx. But nevertheless, this game was blockbuster. These are the games that define the Champions League. Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich. I remember the Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich games in 2012. I remember the Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich games when Ronaldo was slinging hat tricks on their heads. I remember the Bayern Munich hat trick, Bayern Munich Real Madrid games when Pep Guardiola was drinking water profusely as his side was getting battered, home and away. I remember these games. These were Champions League royalty. And once again today, incredible fixture from both of these sides. And I want to start off with Bayern Munich because I'm not somebody who watches the Bundesliga often. I keep my ear to the ground and I like to keep up to date with what Bayern Munich are doing. I saw their comeback against Freiburg recently. I've seen their wins against the likes of Dortmund. I've seen their beautiful football they've played. I know they've only lost one game in the Bundesliga all season. But I think it's really the Champions League that teams like Bayern Munich really get appraised. Because them, PSG, even to an extent Barcelona and Real Madrid, because of course these teams don't play in the best leagues, or let's just say how it is, they don't play in the Premier League. So everybody believes that if you don't play in the Premier League, you don't play in a competent league. But this Bayern Munich team is incredible. And you have to give a lot of credit to Vincent Kompany. The way he set up his side today was electric. The press from the front, and we'll get on to the negative side of that press, but the press from the front was suffocating. I had to open a window with how suffocating it was. Real Madrid couldn't even build up from the back. We'll touch on Real Madrid in a bit, but I really want to give Bayern Munich their flowers today because the performance today from every single one of those players. Now, of course, Upamecano, this is a guy who has really, he's not put his best foot forward when the Champions League comes to town. He really has not. And I think you try to give him the benefit of the doubt because when he doesn't play in the Champions League, this guy is an elite center back. But once again today, he was doing his best to get Real Madrid back in this game. Really and truly. And we'll touch on that a bit more when we talk about Real Madrid. But the players who did well for Bayern Munich today, I think Konrad Laimer, he's not going to get a lot of praise today. He's not going to get a lot of credit. But he was up and down the field today. Running up and down. He was basically the Fede Valverde for this Bayern Munich team. Engine on him is incredible. Making overlapping runs even in cases when he's never going to get the ball. On that left-hand side with Luis Diaz, who was a threat throughout the game for Trent Alexander-Arnold. And tonight you saw both sides of Trent's game, particularly when Luis Diaz was coming at him, you saw the negative sides of things. And I think Bayern Munich really threatened Trent Alexander-Arnold on that side. I think they really went for him because they saw that as an area of weakness for Real Madrid. And then you move on to Harry Kane, who, you know, he starts off the game and he doesn't feel like he's really involved, but then he just springs into life. He creates chances. He drops deep. He picks up spaces. He allows Gnabry to go forward. He picks out those long switches to Elise, to Diaz. And you're starting to see the Harry Kane that you really know is one of the best players in world football. And in the midfield, Joshua Kimmich today, next to Pavlovic. Once again, another superb performance from Pavlovic. I think he's one of those players in world football who doesn't get as much credit as he should because he plays in the Bundesliga. But I think Pavlovic is, 19, 20 years old? And some of the performances I've seen this kid drop, incredible performances. And that midfield from Bayern Munich, that entire front five, it's so energetic. And that's the only way they're able to withstand and keep up with that incredibly high press that Real Madrid just weren't able to contend with. There were chances that were literally created just out of the press from Real Madrid. I mean, just out of the press of Bayern Munich. I mean, both goals that they scored today were direct impacts of that press, winning the ball high up the field, and just taking advantage quickly, playing the ball and just being incisive with their play. And it came at the hands of Luis Diaz and Harry Kane, both goals that were created from that high press. And then the man, two men in particular that I want to talk about. Manuel Neuer today, chance after chance after chance. But we'll come on to him in a little bit because I think that moves us smoothly onto Real Madrid. Because the other person I want to talk about is Michael Olise. Michael Olise today was having fun. The performance today from Michael Olise, if you had any doubts, if you didn't believe the numbers, if you didn't believe the statistics, I think the performance today from Michael Olise showed every single person who was willing to watch that this is one of the best players in world football. You have put him in the conversations with Yamal. We've heard him in the conversations with Saka. We've heard him in the conversations with Salah. But I think today, he finally put his foot forward that he might be better than every single one of them. Because today, for Michael Olise, from minute 1 to minute 90, whether it was cutting inside, creating chances by curling it, creating chances by running to the byline and clipping it to the back post, running up on Alvaro Carreras. Alvaro Carreras will tell his kids about the performance today from Michael Olise. He will sit his grandkids down and tell them about this performance from Michael Olise. The ease in which he was able to manipulate the ball and jink past Carreras time after time after time. It looked like he was having fun out there. Moments that he's drifting to the left flank and interplaying with Luis Diaz. Moments that he's popping up in the number 10 position and Gnabry's going out to right-hand side. Michael Olise made the Santiago Bernabeu his playground today. And he gets the assist for the Harry Kane goal that made it 2-0 just as the second half started. But that assist alone should not signify the performance from Michael Olise today. The performance as a whole was a joy to behold. A true joy to behold. A proper clinic from one of the best wingers in world football. And then the last man for Bayern Munich that I want us to talk about is Manuel Neuer. 40 years old this man is. 40 years old and still putting up performances like this. And I think it ties into the other side of things, the Real Madrid side of things. Because in this game, I genuinely believe that Real Madrid would not be the better team. Real Madrid have never been the better team in the majority of the games I've watched them in the Champions League in my many years watching this sport. But they find a way. And again, it was the same pattern of play that we saw. Real Madrid under the cosh. Real Madrid kind of hanging in there. Luckily, they didn't have Thibaut Courtois today, or unluckily for them. They didn't have Thibaut Courtois, who could kind of bail you out in those moments where your defense just looks lackadaisical. You're letting in chance after chance. And today, Andre Lunin was not up to it. I think that goal from Harry Kane, he should be stopping that. And I think Courtois would stop that if he was the one in net. But then, even in that aspect, even when you consider all those things, even when you consider the absence of Thibaut Courtois, Real Madrid had chances upon chances in this game. I'm a Barcelona fan, but I will come here candidly and I will speak objectively. Real Madrid could have had many goals today. And that's why this game is so weird to me. Because the man who we talked about, Manuel Neuer, big saves today from the likes of Vinicius, from the likes of Mbappe, just being a huge pillar for Bayern Munich in that defensive part of the field. In moments where Upamecano, we said it, I don't know what this guy was trying to do. That chance that Vinicius Jr. gets, what was his game plan there? What was he attempting to do? Even the foul on Vinicius, that Vinicius was calling for a penalty, I think that could have very easily have been given as a penalty. And it's not like Jonathan Tah covered himself in glory either on the other side of the defensive partnership. So Bayern Munich can definitely be gotten at. And I think if there's anything to take from this game from Real Madrid, let's say Bayern Munich do go to the next round, as well as other teams who might face Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, PSG, who is at Liverpool, and subsequently in the final. This Bayern Munich team can be hurt in transition. And when you have Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappe, I don't think there's any other players who you would want ahead of those two in that sort of game plan. And tonight, Kylian Mbappe has to look at himself and say, I probably should have left this game with a hat-trick. Vinicius Jr. once again looking like the player of last season, not looking like the Vinicius we've seen these last few seasons, or these last few weeks, should I say. But then I thought the introduction of Jude Bellingham in the second half was crucial. Look, I'm not a huge Jude Bellingham fan, but what he brings you in the midfield, no one in Real Madrid can bring that. He brings the dynamism and the athleticism of a Fede Valverde, but he also brings that ingenuity and that creativity of an Arda Güler. Obviously not to the same level of either of those two players, but it's sort of like combining the two players into one. And I thought he brought that in spades. Came on, drived with the ball, created chances, just offered that intensity in the midfield, which Real Madrid were really struggling to compete with. Arda Güler is a fantastic player on the ball, But when it comes to intensity and physicality off the ball, this guy is going to get run off the park. Joshua Kimmich is not a huge guy. He's not a big stature guy, but he will run around the field. Stanisic will run around the field. Pavlovic will run around the field. Konrad Laimer, we talked about. These guys are athletes. You need a bit of that in the midfield. Chouameni tonight for me was terrible. Terrible in the midfield. What was his name? Thiago Pritchard. We gave him a lot of praise for the Manchester City game. My brother, thank you so much for all you've given us. We are never seeing that guy again. We are never seeing that guy again. Camavinga's coming back. Bellingham's coming back second leg. We are never seeing him ever again. And bless his heart, because he played a bomber of a game against Man City in the 2 legs. But we are never seeing this brother again in the Champions League. Because that performance today, he looked like a player who'd never played in a game of that magnitude. But nevertheless, I thought the introduction, as I said, of Bellingham was crucial to Real Madrid's renaissance in the second half. Trent Alexander-Arnold finding Mbappe at the back post, and finally Mbappe finally scores the goal that he's been waiting for all night. And Trent, as I said, you saw the 2 sides of his game today. The defensive aspects being a bit shady, a bit sketchy, but in the attacking areas, this guy can find a pass. And throughout the night, he was just pinging it along to both Vinicius and Mbappe, and they were creating chance after chance. I remember the pass that Fede played into Mbappe. Mbappe hits it on his right foot, great save by Neuer. The reverse pass from Vinny to Mbappe, great save by Neuer. Real Madrid had chances. But as I said, it was a weird game in that aspect, because not only did I think Bayern Munich controlled the game, I thought Bayern Munich were the better team. I thought Bayern Munich could have been 3, 4, 5, 6 goals up. But at the same time, Real Madrid created many chances. Like in that first half, I think Bayern Munich had about 60% of the ball, but Real Madrid had all the big chances. Yes, there was that chance Upamecano had at the start that Carreras clears off the line, but Real Madrid would have looked at that first half and said, okay, we're 1-0 down. We've had big chances. Manuel Neuer has been, a bane in our existence, but we can still find a way. And then you come out for the second half and you concede in about 30 seconds. It's a hard one to take. I mean, by the time they'd conceded, I hadn't even sat down. Like, I literally went to go do something very quickly. I came back and they'd scored the second goal. I said, how? I'm just seeing Harry Kane running off and celebrating. I said, I haven't even sat down to watch the second half. I'd just gotten a notification that the second half had started. By the time I'm sat down, I'm seeing Harry Kane running off celebrating. So that's not the way you want to start the second half. But what this means is, second leg at Munich, at the Allianz Arena, it's all to play for. It is all to play for. And I thoroughly believe this. I thought maybe Real Madrid would maybe win the first leg, scam their way to the first leg, and then ultimately lose in the Allianz. But I think Bayern Munich winning this first leg is a key statement. Not just to Real Madrid, but to the whole of Europe. Because even when Bayern Munich have been better than this team than they are now, they've struggled when they go to the Bernabeu. It seems as though when they go there, they lose their marbles. They lose their composure. But today, it looked like a very, very mature performance. It's kind of akin to the performance I saw when they went to the Parc des Princes and they beat Paris Saint-Germain. These are the performances away from home in big European nights against big teams that you prove yourself. And players like Harry Kane, players like Michael Olise, who have come under criticism in the past few seasons for not turning up in the big moments, not turning up in the biggest of games, I think tonight they really proved a lot of those critics wrong. But as I said, second leg is finally poised, and I will be there. I will be there to witness that game, because 2-1, of course, Bayern Munich are the clear favorites. In my opinion, they're the clear favorites, but never write off Real Madrid. And from what I saw today, if you can bypass that initial press of Bayern Munich, whether that be playing through it, which is very difficult, or just playing it over the top, Real Madrid can cause them a lot of problems. But I think having that 1-goal lead going back will be a very, very, very big advantage for Bayern Munich. And as I said, Sporting versus Arsenal, I did not watch the game. I saw a bit of the highlights. David Raya had a great game. Congratulations to him. Kai Havertz comes off the bench. Martinelli finds him brilliantly to score that goal that gives Sporting their first defeats in the Champions League all season. And it's just another performance. And as I said, I didn't watch this game. I'm kind of just listening to what pundits are saying, listening to what people online are saying, and watching the highlights. Just another pretty nothing burger from Arsenal. Not really inspiring anybody, not really entertaining anybody, but they get the job done. I keep on saying this. People will complain about Arsenal. If you don't like watching Arsenal, don't watch Arsenal. It's as simple as that. There's other teams to watch. Much more exciting teams, much more fun teams to watch. Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Man United, Man City, Chelsea. I could sit here all day and list all the teams that are a lot more exciting to watch than Arsenal. Stop living in this hole that Arsenal is the only team that you can watch just because they're the best team in the league. Go and watch something else. there's a whole host of teams for you to watch. But as always, let me know you guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below. What did you think about the games today? What did you think about the Real Madrid Bayern Munich game? What did you think about the Sporting Lisbon Arsenal games? Condolences to all of those of you who actually watched that game. What do you think about the second legs? Did the teams who won the first leg gonna easily pass through to the second leg with the second legs being at home? Or might we see some remontadas? Who knows? And tomorrow, the Blaugrana go to war. We go to war against Simeone. I'll be here. Take care.